You're live.
Okay, good morning. Welcome to the August 21st meeting of the Board of Raleigh County Commissioners. Do we have any public comment this morning?
Pleasure.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm ahead of myself. Sorry. Okay, public comment now. Seeing none, I'll go on to commission comments. Commissioner McKinney.
Well, Thursday afternoon, we had the joint city-county meeting. It was a very well-attended meeting. Asia Sampson gave an update on what she has done in her role with the county on educating kids and adults about dangerous drugs and specifically fentanyl. All sorts of very tough testimony from Jenny Ebert. I learned a lot more about it. There's a lot of good information. And the health department has formed a substance abuse task force with various cities and counties to work on the problems. And then the grant for Asia's position runs out at the end of August, and efforts are being made to find some funding. The weekend was spent finding ways to stay food. Unsuccessfully.
That's
Fast.
Commissioner Ford.
Yes. See, Thursday afternoon, I met with Julie Gibbs from the health department and David Adams from EMS to discuss several items, including putting together some useful dashboard data information on local trends on fentanyl usage and the need for Narcan, how that may work locally, and also to come up with some kind of an outline or historical perspective on what we're doing with the One Pill Can Kill campaign. There'll be some things probably moving federally resource wise that will be coming down for that. So having that information will be useful in our efforts. I too attended the city county meeting here in the board chambers, had a good discussion with members from the city, Pot County for a change on the substance abuse challenges in our area's need for intervention on the fentanyl and opioid crisis. Sounds like we should be able to keep our health educator on for a while, at least to develop the substance abuse task force and kind of really see how that plays out. I think it's going to be a good thing, and that'll obviously help with some efforts here locally. To heard from was it Jennifer Ebert? Was that? Yeah. Okay. And her story that's directly attached to it. And I would say the sad thing about it is there's many stories just like that, unfortunately. And that's just in our area. That's just not nationwide, sadly. So really, I'm really glad that she was able to do that, and public media and everybody really got to hear a down to earth story about it. I think it really drives the point home. So Friday morning, attended the ribbon cutting and grand opening ceremony at the new Stormont Vale facility up on the campus of K-State. Very well attended by the community. The entire lobby was just packed full of people. They had an opportunity to hear from several different people, including members of the Stormont Vale Board of Directors, President and CEO of Stormont Vale, Robert Carnegie, and Dr. David Borkowski from the university, who's the president of research at K-State. K-State Stormont Vale are also working on a healthcare research collaborative project that will begin shortly, and they've already dedicated some space within the facility to accomplish that. There's a special place up there dedicated for C. Clyde Jones, who made a very large donation for that as well. So yeah, I didn't take a tour of the facility just yet. Thankfully, I have all my appointments from Topeka moving to the location on the 29th. But I figured I'd go a little early and do that on my own instead of trying to fight through crowds of traffic on Friday. Had the chance to talk to a lot of people from the community, got several meetings to schedule because of that dialogue. And quite to be honest with you, I think it's a wonderful and amazing addition for the health and well-being of our region moving forward. It does specialty services that we just, quite frankly, just haven't had probably forever. So Saturday morning, I attended the Riley County Republicans Coffee Talk up at Dobro. Reed Petty from Congressman Mann's office came in and gave an update on what the congressman and his office is working on currently. Had some trivia at the end of that to win some prizes. I won a gift card. I know more about the Supreme Court than I probably should know, and anybody should really know than maybe the Supreme Court, but whatever, I guess. I did give an update on some of the things that we're working on here in the county, some things that we're going to be working on moving forward. There was a pretty long dialogue on property tax and elections. And of course, the local elections that, believe it or not, are just literally right around the corner, and I haven't really heard much about it this time around. So that could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on how you look at that. Over the weekend, I too just basically stayed inside, watched a little preseason football, got caught up on a few things, Googled maggot pain. Googled maggot pain.
You did?
I feel cheated.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like before graphic arts, this was happening right underneath our noses, and we didn't even know that it was actually happening. Because when you look at pictures, it looks like graphic arts designs from the 1990s, including several of my trapper keepers I think I had. And I only mention that because those are making a comeback. And
Or do they put little faces on these maggots?
no, they just put paint on them and they just go walking around and making lines and string noises and everything else. I'm pretty sure there was a whole shoe design based off of this from British Knights back in probably the late 80s and 90s. So this was going on. We didn't know about
I
it.
never saw any.
I feel cheated on this one. We should have known that information as it was happening back then. And quite frankly, we did. So it kind of makes me mad, but so Google it. It's
Well,
really
we're in
interesting.
Kansas.
And we have those here, and they tend to, I think they tend to thrive in this kind of environment currently too. So be
Well,
careful what you put
yeah.
outside. So anyway, on that note, I got good to go this morning. That's all I've got.
I don't know if I can follow this. I don't. Okay, Thursday morning, and I said this the other day, I attended the Good Morning Manhattan breakfast before our meeting. And then after our meeting on Thursday, I met with Brian Foster in his office at BG Consultants to go over some drawings they have done for the potential property location of Lagoon and Keats. And it was really interesting. I learned a lot from them about how things work. And, setbacks and all that, which I knew a little bit about. So then after that, I came to lunch, a few things. Then I came back to the joint city county meeting here at the chambers. Main agenda item was funding the opioid fentanyl grant that Asia Sampson is working under in the end of August. We talked about how that should be extended, maybe working together regionally to find some funding for it. Let's say educational programs have been held in 4 high schools in the region. Other presentations have been made to other agencies, including a film that was shown at the AMC Theater for several weeks. Jenny Ebert gave her experience when her son Jason died of an apparent fentanyl overdose. It did show up in the paper on Sunday about the person who's been accused.
Yeah, I
of
thought
doing
that
that.
was interesting.
Yeah, and another one who
Yeah. They said something about the two of them. but-
Yeah.
Yeah.
apparently is going to court. I don't know.
I just don't think the penalties are stiff enough.
I do
to keep people
too.
from doing their work. I think it should be like a mandatory life sentence, no parole.
That's gone through the legislature or the
Should.
courts. Anyway, the groups then requested more information from the health department and the task force. Just, they had like one meeting. I'm
Yeah.
planning to sit in on the next one. Weekend, I spent trying to keep cool. I did get, I think, a partial heat stroke going on in the yard on Saturday morning. I don't know. I sure felt bad all weekend. So, and
We were
then
the hottest place in the entire contiguous United States on Saturday.
I believe that.
Even hot, leaving like 15 degrees hotter than Death Valley.
Less humidity.
Yes,
And the humidity, I mean, it's really humid this morning.
this is like Alabama type of weather.
It's like, Chiefs went to Arizona because it was for the game. It
Yeah,
was cooler.
I know. I mean, I've been in Vegas when it was 115, but there wasn't 92% humidity.
I know, it's what, 95% today.
It's more than 97
7%
this morning.
humidity today. You can see it, the fog.
I couldn't keep anything defrosted, including the car. And I wasn't turning on the defroster because, well, for obvious reasons. So I rolled down the windows and it still stayed foggy.
Oh, I know.
That's horrible.
Then yesterday, several of us did go to Hanover for lunch at Ricky's. That was packed with people. So that was. Anyway, that's it for me. It's a business meeting.
First items in 2023.
If I could, sorry, I'd like to ask for an executive session to be added as the last item on today's agenda.
Oh, no, you missed public comment. You're done. Can't do it now.
How long?
I'll live with it. Probably 20 minutes.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to add an executive session to the end of this morning's meeting.
Was it moved and seconded to add an executive session at the end of this morning's meeting? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
First items, 2023 emergency management performance grant application. The approve and sign.
The only question I had was if this was in the 2024 budget. I didn't see a note on that.
Yes, should be in there as personnel for the grant. For, at least for Baldwin's position. But I think we've allowed a lot of the $80,000. Right? Yeah.
Any other question?
No, we do that. How many? Every 3 years?
It's annually.
Okay.
Yep, and we've participated in the program over 25 years. So just in the last 2 years, they approved personnel. So
Oh,
so that helped us move from a part-time to a full-time position. Yes.
okay. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, I'll go ahead and make a motion then to approve the signing of the fiscal year 23 EMPG application cover form.
I'll second.
Has been moved and seconded to approve the emergency management recommendation for the EMPG application for 2023. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Top agency, that top agency, I think we'll signature of it.
Items Riley County employee action forms. One's for Jennifer Sturgis, a new hire as a temporary election worker in the clerk election department. And Nathaniel Davis, a new hire as a volunteer firefighter in the Riley County Fire District.
Any questions? Still not showing. You got it.
Next is approval of the minutes from August 17th meeting.
I noticed that Jenny Eber, her name's spelled correctly in the agenda, but then there were the attendees with the last page in her comments, it's spelled differently. Oh, I'm just going to find that again now. Yeah, under 19. Item 19. And it's minutes.
We quite a list there. didn't we?
Yeah.
Thursday.
Any other corrections?
I don't. Okay. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the minutes as amended from the August 17th meeting of the Riley County Commission.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the commission meetings from August 17th as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Tentative agenda was okay.
on the 28th. Shows R&R for the county, R&R for the fire, and budgeting for the county, midnight budgeting for the fire. Won't be up there. Yeah.
That's same time.
That's a great issue. So we schedule those.
Yeah. I think we have to do both of those separately because it's typically a separate district.
I said R&R, so let's get it simple. Get back to what's this.
I remember on the 31st. we were getting that off.
I was thinking when I was at the meeting a couple weeks ago. Bruce, the mayor, said, I got a call from Cindy. He says, I'm supposed to talk at that meeting. What am I supposed to talk about? And I said, just enough. Oh, I thought I had it. I said, I'm on it. I said, "No, just let us just fill everybody in on what's going on." Oh, okay. So he was, you know, it's near the-
You were noticing
he's on the agenda.
tentative agenda for the 28th, if there's not a regular budget hearing set up for fire.
Wait, he's got.
Larry Gunlund.
Okay.
That was after.
Thank you.
Conference 2 weeks.
Keep wanting to surprise you with something at some point in time, but it just keeps lining up.
It was this morning going out with the dog, it was very hot, so we need to cool off and then maybe a couple of degrees.
I don't know if it was just hot or if it was just
Humid.
insanely humid.
Like that, it was 79 degrees, and 97.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is horrible.
Funny, see, places there belong, most of it come in today, it's fog.
Really hard.
Thick fog, a few places.
Other place for me was fog, except right at the top of the hill over here.
Oh.
It's just like little clearing.
Well, I live over by Albert Park and we used to walk out there before the whole,
I see laying out there.
whole park right on the way in before the bridge is all.
This is what you would see like in central Alabama or Mississippi in July. Ugh, horrible.
Yeah, hopefully it's- I guess it's spreading, supposedly it's kind of it's kind of it's close. My daughter said she was going to get there, get to Virginia today, so we'll see. I said my thermostat home at about 78. That felt, it's 30 degrees cooler. I walk out. Oh, this is cold. But it saves me too. Why keep that? Saves money, it's not that big of a contrast. Maybe outside. April, I was going, well, it's like 30 degrees cooler inside, so that's good.
Then second floor on the west side, we have three big bay windows.
Oh,
Three big windows. You can keep the blinds closed, it's down, but it's not, it's up in there.
It's second thing. I think a lot of them do it Tuesdays. Separate.
Yeah. Well, my old house really had to conduct each miles long, trying
Oh,
to
yeah.
get through all those places with. The upstairs and bed up to the. Yeah. In the attic. And
Mhm.
so, it goes a long way, so it's. That's the
It's up there, yeah. It must be size. Okay, ready?
Good morning, Commissioners. Brittany Phillips, Budget and Finance Officer. So I just wanted to bring this to you, to just go over that there was an error in the rural fire district budget. There was an expense that was doubled up. So with reducing that down, it drops the mills from what we originally proposed at 8.914 down to 7.737. So overall, this has been reduction of $187,998 in ad valorem taxes. It would be my recommendation for you guys to advise staff to make that reduction. Do you have any questions?
Questions on reducing?
No, but maybe more procedural. Do we have to then rescind that?
No, because we approved the R&R intent at the 8.914. So all we have to do is just drop it down, and then you'll still approve it on, the 28th when we bring it.
When you get it scheduled?
Yeah. Yeah. I have the R&R hearing scheduled, but
I'm just messing.
Yeah, we can reduce the R.
Right.
Yeah.
The R.
I didn't know before we had the actual hearing, though, if we needed to wait to the hearing to officially do that, or if we could do it now.
I think you can do it now. This isn't approving the mills. I put in there that it would be to approve the reduction of the mills, but I think what you need to do is make a motion to tell staff to fix it.
The adjustment.
Yeah.
Okay. 187,000 to 187,000.
Drops the mill rate.
Yeah, it gets a little closer there. And keep in mind on the fire budget, if I'm not mistaken, we had issues last year with it, and we had to hold them flat because we had already put the publication in. And there were apparent errors in there too. So this is making up not just for 1 year, but it's technically making up for 2. So,
Right.
it's just worthy of noting that. Okay, well, with that in mind, then I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the recommendation for the reduction of the mill rate from 8.914 to 7.737 for the Riley County Fire District number 1.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the reduction of the mill rate for the Raleigh County Fire District number 1. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
I have another question that because it wasn't brought up. I had talked to, Shiloh and Rich about adjusting the county budget. And they said they'd be back with something, and I haven't seen anything yet, so I'll bring it up. On revenue stuff, and looking at it, the big one, investment income, we're showing 925,000 next year. we've already made over 1.5 million this year. Think that needs to be fixed. There's plenty of room to raise that estimate. Because like I said, at the pace we're doing it kept through the end, we'd have 2.6 this year. And we're saying 900,000 for next year. There's a lot of room to raise that projection, I see.
And offset it throughout the general part of the budget, maybe. What am I missing there?
What do you mean?
Well, the investment income,
That's one of the, it's under income revenue. So if we raise that revenue comes off of our expenditures and we'd lower the mill levy almost 1 full mill. And even that is a big one. Sales tax also projecting 2 million, and in 23 we had 2.2, and projecting what we got now, it's going to be 2.3 this year.
but it has gone down a little bit each of the last 2 months.
It's
Not substantially,
but it's still, but it's still for the year and stuff. Even if it's not below last year. It's just getting. And maybe not that one, but the investment income
Yeah, I
to
can see
me,
that.
and even if rates, because they just raised the rates.
I don't,
2 weeks ago.
yeah, I don't see them not lowering that anytime soon.
Lowering rates, until things.
Maybe you're hearing something different on that.
No, we were trying to be pretty conservative with it just because,
Yeah, but that's not conservative. That's way beyond conservative. And I don't want to wait to bring it up on the budget that, on approval day. I don't know if you guys, maybe we can't decide now, but I think they need to look into it more and give us a report next Thursday before the final approval. Yeah, because to me, I mean, that's way low.
Is Shiloh still on vacation?
she should be back today.
Okay.
And they said they were gonna look at it and get back to us, and we hadn't, and I didn't want to wait till the last day, which seems to be the pattern lately.
Yeah.
Which also needs to be corrected.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to bring that up, see if they can look at, bring this up to us Thursday, because there's plenty of room to raise that revenue estimate.
Well, we're looking at something, and I was looking over it over the weekend because we had a pretty thorough property tax discussion and went well for the record, but we're looking at $2.3 million still in that kind of range from where we're at last year, and with evaluations being what they are currently, nothing we can do to shore that up. I think we have a responsibility to
Just even if we raise, like I say, if we raise it to 1.6, which is still a lot less than we're going to get this year, that's lower. It's 700,000. That's lower than the mill.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think we need to.
Yeah, some of the ARPA money will probably be spent more.
That's not, that has nothing to do with that. That's in its own separate fund with
That's right.
with its own interest. So
Yeah.
that's
in there.
that's not even
That's
part of that.
So you would like us to come back on Thursday?
Yeah,
Okay, and you
Well,
said 1.6?
that's the number I came up with.
Puts us kind of right square in the middle there.
Yeah, it's still,
We could get it up over $1 million. I would feel a lot better about that myself.
because, just roughly that, and it might be a little more, but just what I looked at, say, if we're getting 5% now, even if we got 3% next year, it'd still get 1.6. Yes, my numbers. worked
Okay.
out.
I'll talk with Shiloh and then we'll put something together and we'll come back on Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
And if we play our cards right on the ARPA side, the interest off that'll be enough to pay for the North Station. Just the construction side, but not the rest of it, but
How's that going?
That's,
We'll
they got,
get
they-
that from David here.
I guess he's not. No. I was just up there yesterday.
I was up there Friday afternoon,
Okay.
so yes. It's going well. It's right now, it's the slow time,
The outside,
appearances.
the outside's not, but
Right.
inside a lot of work going on.
Mhm. Yeah, they were
I
making,
could maybe see why they're not so much working outside at the moment.
yeah, when I was up there at about 3 o'clock on Friday and they were cleaning up and calling it a day. So, but they get there early, so. But yeah,
Yeah, so we
it was pretty warm in there.
going at 6 and work maybe till like 11, and maybe come back at 6 and work till 10 or something.
Well, and they've got the grading cut down for the driveway in the back.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
And I don't know what, we got a meeting this week with them to find out what their schedule is for sure. It looks like we're getting ready for that, but inside they got all the insulation up. They got sheet rock on the ceiling and starting to put it on the walls. There's piles of it all over there.
Yeah.
Inside.
Oh, well, then they're moving right along
Yeah.
the inside then.
Yeah,
That's when it gets really warm inside.
but like I said, the insulation is,
It's a good time to do sheetrock then. I mean, to be honest with you, getting it up, getting it mudded, dries pretty quick.
yeah, should,
Well,
Well, the humidity doesn't help, but
But I mean,
but it gets so hot in the building, is what you're saying, correct?
I'm sure they got all the windows open, trying to get some air through that.
you bring some dehumidifiers. And this continues.
I came up from the outside of it.
Yep.
No change.
Yeah, I did.
I've got some questions for him this week. On that. I suppose they want supply chain issues.
But my guess is it's either supply chain or just the subcontractors.
it seems like subcontracting is a huge issue right now.
Right.
That's the whole deal with the airport right now.
Is that what's delaying the airport is
Yeah.
subcontractors?
Electrical subcontractor apparently doesn't have enough workers.
Well, they hired somebody, had some of these, they've hired another, the subcontractors hired somebody else to help them.
But they decided that they're just gonna pay the fine because it's actually cheaper than paying for the labor at this
Well,
point.
you know,
Wow.
$15,000 a day.
Yeah, and
Wow,
that's crazy.
Starting on the 7th.
Yeah,
a lot of money.
Of course, it's a how many $1 million contract?
Right.
90% of it's federal too. But
Mhm.
Well, it still comes out of our pockets,
It's the end of the day, we're paying it.
Yeah.
Yep.
one way or another.
and they're talking about maybe hiring the city hiring in their own staff to go out there to finish it too.
Seriously.
It's come up.
Well, that's a big deal with football going on.
I'd have to say, I mean, they will.
Airlines already canceled all flights till the 25th.
Yeah.
Somebody was mentioned that with at least the first couple of games, those people are gonna have, they're, I assume, have to fly in somewhere else and
Flying either Salina or Topeka.
Topeka and then bus them over.
Yep.
The small planes can't even go in.
No, neither runways
Either.
at a point where it could be used. I think they're trying to flip that and go from the small one to get the large one done and then come back to the small one.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
It's not one thing, it's another.
yeah. Within,
I thought it was. Talking about it.
really, the way it was laid out, it shouldn't have. It really should have fell right in line. I mean, concrete work's basically done. I mean, they got to fill in some spots around electrical, components, I guess. But you go out there and look at it. Looked pretty well done to me, but like I said, I don't know all the other structural stuff that's part of it. So. I wouldn't want to have to drive to one of those locations just to come back into town. It's a matter of convenience, I guess.
I'm flying out, I'm going to a wedding at the end of this month, and I was hoping to fly. Because I'm having to drive to Kansas City to fly out. I was hoping to be able to fly from Kansas City to Manhattan, and just shorten my trip, but no.
I haven't made airline reservations yet for AUSA because that's on the 8th and the 11th. So I'm kind of, I don't know.
Sorry, I couldn't.
I We got a couple of pre-meetings or something I'm gonna have to back with.
Yeah, that's what I really get some trips. It's all cells. Forgot about that.
That's the only part I don't like, trying to get in and out of airports. It's just,
And then
ours is great. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty simple, but you know, trying to.
all the rest of it. Kansas City, everybody comes and goes out of the one lower level, and then you have to drag your bags upstairs to check in. It's kind of strange.
It's kind of like the Las Vegas airport there. You come in and it's all up top, and then you go down to get all your luggage, and you come back up 3 stories to go out to
Yeah.
parking and ride sharing stuff. And it's just like, just all over the place.
I was kind of surprised Kansas City was departing income in the same area. I don't mean for.
It's kind of like how it was at the old one.
Well, yeah, they had. Yeah, they had.
They had 2 separate kind of
They had
lanes there,
different
but
terminals
yeah.
that didn't like jammed up like. Kansas City.
yeah, it was curved.
Mhm.
So it seemed like it was easier getting in and out than straight line.
Yeah.
And then with the
Parking was $25.
Then with the FFA reauthorization this year, that about put a wrench into everything.
Okay, slide 15.
Good morning, Commissioners. David Adams, CMS Ambulance Director with my monthly update. Starting off with calls for service in July were 435. So we were down a little bit in June, but we picked back up in July, I believe, with 16 in North County. Breakdown per stations, nothing out of the ordinary there, with 154 out of the main station, 128 from 11 points. Public Works Building, solid 100, and then 50 out at the airport. And then we had 5 first response calls in Leonardville. So then we had 3 others that were either event standbys. I think they're all event standbys. So continue to work on new building construction topics, so related topics. Preparing for opening of Station 5. So supervisor in charge of purchasing has his list, and between he and Josh, they're getting the rest of the supplies ordered and such. So we're moving along. We're starting to get some stuff in. So I have a feeling that in the next day or 2, some of that stuff's going to come up to my office because they need a place to put it. So I think that day is coming. So we did have a standby crew at the Riley County Fair in the late afternoons and in the evenings. Had some water and some ice. They were kind of walking around and finding some people who looked like they needed a bottle of water, but we had them out there. They saw a few people that needed some assistance, but all in all, I think everybody out there does a good job keeping an eye on each other, and people get, go in and get out of the heat when they need to. So, but it's good for us to be out there and for us to help and to be seen. So right now we're gearing up for football season, so lots of meetings. So there's meetings a couple of weeks ago with that the city puts on with athletics to talk about just the traffic that's going to be this year with all the construction right around the stadium and the traffic flows. So they work with the city, and so the city works with K-State and operations. So RCPD, K-State Police Department, MFD, ourselves, all there. So make sure everybody understands what the traffic flow is going to be like going in and out of the games. And then we're working with the operations plan roll out to our staff. We do this every year. We go over our operations plan, meet with each crew, kind of go over it, remind them, if there were any changes from last year, things like that. And then some of our staff will work with K-State Athletics medical staff. We do this every couple of years, just a reminder. Everybody everybody's got new faces, and if there's an incident on the field, how's that handled? So, because there's you've got athletic staff, you've got their medical staff, and you've got our staff. And so we get together, kind of work through it, make sure everybody's on the same page, kind of knows the strengths and weaknesses of each organization and who's going to do what. So lots of stuff going on there. We'll be ready as for that first game, and hopefully the weather will cooperate.
Not looking that way,
Yeah,
but
so
we
always staff up the first 3
Yeah.
football games. We always put extra staff on just because we get overwhelmed. We're just so busy. So when we've done that again this year, just as we always do, certainly the first 3 home games, and then we kind of play it by ear on the next one, because then we start having some road games in there and such. So but we staff accordingly best we can. We're preparing for paramedic students starting internship. We have 2 that are doing their internship, and this is where they'll spend about 460 hours, 24-hour shifts at a different department, running calls with one of their lead paramedics. And then we're also getting 2 paramedic students from other departments to our department this fall. So we never allow your own students to do their internship within your own department. So they need to go be evaluated and be working with somebody who does not know them. So pretty standard in the state of Kansas. And so right now is a busy time of that. So we just did the hiring process that you approved a couple weeks ago. So those will be back in front of you for approval and such. And station paging is something I wanted to bring up. The city of Manhattan has, I think through some of their capital projects, has purchased the backbone, if you will, into dispatch to allow for our county, the city, and us the ability to have what's called station paging. And I'll bring this back before you because it's probably going to need to be a CIP. But currently, we use the same technology we've used for almost 40 years, which is everybody has a pager on the belt, and dispatch sets off the tone and it sets off your pager. So the only thing that's different is the new radio system. But so station paging has been around for quite a few years, and it's where you have a control box in your building, and then you have speakers. So when they page your building, it comes through the speakers overhead. So it's a great tool. Very thankful for the city and RCPD working to put this system into dispatch. It's got a pretty big undertaking. They've been working on this for a year now, but they're going to put it in. They've got it in at their stations, and we have the opportunity to purchase the brains, if you will, and the speakers to put it into our stations. So we just got quotes. Corey and I met with the company that's doing this. So we just got quotes for Station 5 in Leonardville, Station 3 at Public Works, and then the headquarters station. So, it was a great quote. When we met with this company, they were also salesmen. So we downsized it. We don't need our doors to open when they page our station. We don't, there was a lot of things that were really neat, but we don't need monitors all over the place to tell us where we're going. So, but we've got it pared down pretty well. I believe for Station 5 from Leonardville, it's about $50,000, but $25,000 is the brains that goes into that station. So, it's we'll bring all of our stations online the same. It really is an upgrade to what we currently do, because like I said, right now they carry around the pager, and if they sit down, they have to take the pager off their hip, because if it's resting against the chair or something, then you can't hear your pager. So they set them down, and then they walk off, they have to go back, pick up their pager, and pagers just don't always work as well. There's a big difference between having something on the roof of your building and having something on your hip. So I'll put those together. I assume I'll have to come back for a CIP to do this for Certainly station 3 and 5, and then we can talk about if we want to incorporate that. It's a little more expensive to do the headquarters. But once we get that together, I'll have it ready whenever it's decided if there's a CIP meeting and if that's how you'd like me to do that. Okay. Education, obviously 100% review of all calls. Now's the time, every couple months, they start looking at data metrics to identify trends. And then we take that, and then if there's something that we see, then Alex will put together what we call just-in-time training and roll those out to our staff. Say, hey, here's what we're seeing, whether it's a fentanyl that we did a couple of years ago that we saw, or it may be, more alcohol-related things as students are starting to come back and things like that. So he and Josh are working through that. So credentialing, it's our biannual credentialing. So the written tests have been updated and rolled out. So staff are taking their proctored written tests now, and then they'll start to do their practical and hands-on testing here coming up soon. Got multiple the hiring process orientation that we're starting. So in preparation for station 5. So we've got 3 classes coming up for our staff. Emergency pediatric care, advanced medical life support, and pre-hospital trauma life support. So we put these on every year for our staff. They have to take them every 2 to 4 years, depending on those classes and when they have to be renewed. So those are coming up in the next month. And we're just about done with our protocol updates and getting those rolled out to staff. So those should be done here in the next couple of weeks. So community outreach, car seat check lanes. We lost one of our car seat technicians, but we gained one. So we're still doing our once a month. We've done multiple standby demos. We were at the Everybody Counts at the Douglas Center and the Ogden City Back to School Bike Swap. So we had helmets out there and helped fit kids with helmets and such, and help them learn how you're supposed to wear a helmet. We see people wear them and they have it tilted back. Well, that's fine if you fall backwards, but if you fall forward, it doesn't do you any good. There's a reason why the bike helmet goes longer than the front of your head. So you hit the bike helmet, not your nose. So there's always education with those. So I just cringe when I see people riding with the bike with the back of their head. That's great 50% of the time, but breakdown of our call volume. So Saturdays picked up a little bit through July. The weather was cooler there, towards the end of the month, and we saw more people out and about. So and breakdown by time. They're pretty consistent until about 1 o'clock in the morning. Then they slow down a little bit, and then pick right back up at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning when people start to get up and get moving. And then this last part, you see, this is kind of broken, funky, if you will. That's because we transitioned over from the image trend that I talked about, a report writing from 3.4 to 3.5. And so you can see when the last part's moved over because it reports differently. It's the same information, but Josh and Alex tried to figure out how to put it all correctly into one. They just couldn't do it. So Josh assures me it'll be fine next month and it'll look more normal again. But this is why it was just going from one to the other. They pulled data from different points. It's the same data, but in 3.4, it would have been box 22, but in 3.5, it may be box 18. So that's why it looks that way. The numbers are accurate. We double check those. And should be better again next month. Any questions for me?
I know you're on standby at different places. Do they have to contact you to get? There was a rodeo Sunday K-State had that they didn't have, and they had some
Yeah, I didn't know about, yes, so on those,
They're supposed to contact you.
yeah, we try to pay attention, like, the Randolph 4th of July.
Yeah.
Nobody ever contacted us,
But you know,
but
it's so.
we knew it was coming, and our captain, who does the scheduling, kind of just took it and said, hey, I put crews out for this. The Cobb Valley Rodeo was another one. Nobody ever contacted us. I talked to Gary Fike. We had already pre-scheduled. We knew we were gonna be there. But some of these others that pop up, yeah, we don't know unless somebody calls us. And
I assume that's somebody. Son was up there and said he was right. It was a high school rodeo in case anything up behind headquarters.
Saw the trailers and things. So
I heard something yesterday afternoon, but
One of the kids got pretty injured. So
Right. no, if we don't know, we
Yeah,
don't
if they
know.
don't tell the right side, they need to let you know.
Yep, absolutely. So, but, so, and we get contacted weekly about events. You know, people say, hey, we're gonna have this event. Can we have you there? So, okay, well, if you want a dedicated standby crew, this is what it's gonna cost you. And some people say, yeah, we'll pay for it, and go, okay, but then others, they say, oh, yeah, no. But weekly, we get contacted for different things.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if we try to be proactive, yeah, but there's so many of those things that if they, so many things go on in this town nowadays that we just, if they call us, we answer. But yeah, I had no idea that there was a rodeo going on. So. All right, well, thank you very much.
Okay.
You got a quick minute?
Sorry. We already know. My question. Yes. Great. Okay. Good.
Typical one walking in everybody leaves. No reason to do.
Have you already started those conversations?
Who's on the press conference? So just me.
I've already given these questions.
What I got, half hour?
You need to go.
Thinking, 5 minutes.
Okay.
Make sure what we have inventory again, so that it works. If it is yes, then, and then I will start working on. I mean, that's not always clear what it costs us, because it's kind of an agreement between this.
The way I'm tracking this is that I know I try to get all the upfront costs. Absolutely, it's not, I mean, in terms of the entire, sure, obviously for us, this entails looking into acoustics, but you're going to take out other things. You try to see, what's the cost of the thing, and what we're actually bringing in. So that's why I said we need this stuff.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Morning.
Morning.
Couple program announcements coming up. This is a great example of why we have to work harder at maintaining cool season grasses like tall fescue that most of us prefer. But the weather is not preferred for growing these grasses. So you can do everything right as far as mowing properly and watering and fertilizing, but when we have growing conditions, lack of growing conditions we have right now, we're kind of stressed. So we have a program coming up on Saturday. Blueville Garden Center will host us. So at 10 a.m. this Saturday, we'll be at Blueville talking about cool season grass maintenance. Whether you're starting a new lawn, seeding, overseeding, if you've got weeds. If you have weeds, that means the population of your grass isn't as thick as it could be. So overseeding is a very common situation, and it's common because we're trying to grow cool season grass in Kansas when we have the hot summers. So we'll talk about the quality of the grass seed. That's really important. Get the right genetics for our growing conditions and answer all questions you have on that. So 10 a.m. this Saturday at Blueville. On that, if you're not able to make it, K-State Research and Extension has lots of information available, whether it's via how-to video or publications. And you just can go to ksuturf.org and get that information. Glad to talk with you as well. The other program we have coming up starting September 1st is our fall Master Gardener training, basic training for a new class. I think we have 9 participating at this time. Got time for a few more to get that going, but it is an all-day session beginning on September 1st, 9 to 4, and we have 8 classes. And of course, once they complete that, then they get to do some volunteering in the community with different projects. I think the garden tour, which is our most visible program that the Master Gardeners conduct, is scheduled for June 22nd, 2024. So they have the date already and the locations picked out. So as long as we can get through this heat portion, hopefully all those sites will stay on for next year. And of course, weather conditions always play a factor, and we understand that. And I think everybody participating on that day understands the weather conditions. Really appreciate those willing to share their gardens with our community. So if you want to join the Master Gardener program, we have an application on our website, so riley.ksu.edu, or of course stop in and see me or talk to me. Second floor of the Riley County Office Building. Be glad to answer any questions on those 2 programs that are coming up and any other plant stress issues you're having at this particular time. Thank you. See you.
Okay.
I can officially say my cactus are probably doing well. That's about
Yeah, I
it.
had a water mine, so. I was gonna- Clancy.
Morning, Commissioners. Clancy Holman, Riley County Council. And the project list updated, I'm trying to get through today. Can we go through and see what got a towel sign. Basically an update on several of the projects that involve the board's authority, quite frankly, and that's what I tend to put in under the category. And most popular, which is probably fence views. And say that with some tongue in cheek.
I'm just waiting for my check. I got $14 coming to me. I got big plans.
Yeah.
You should have big plans. As I indicated previously, the version of the order assigning nutrition fence responsibility for the dealing that you did in July 13th, I think it was, will be before you this Thursday in business meeting with some corrections to it. Corrections in my sense of direction in terms of the line running which way, and which I will double check again and before you see it, and including some information feeds which were not in the first one. We should see that this Thursday. I expect on probably business meeting agenda. Still working on the items here indicated for the First Christian Church. Operating in extension time of filing brief. Your legal services, of course, as you recall, we did not receive any proposals. And, left where we are, which is paying those vouchers as the county. But been working with the courts and to see what's possible in terms of maybe generating some local interest, some clarification. There still seems to be some kind of, at least perception that signing on to this agreement, as was stated, as was set out in the RFP, means that anybody who contracts, say you get 2 people, those people do the work of 6. It mystifies me because it's just, again, the agreement makes it clear that if any attorney who signs up, if they're getting too many cases, I mean, unlikely event that the courts, and they're the ones that assign cases, not the county, then it would be up to the attorneys involved in their requirement of professional responsibility. One of them is to tell the court if you're not truly available to do, because you are doing the work of more than one attorney can handle. So, and each of those contracts, again, it's not anything other than a contractual arrangement. It provides the parties the ability to end the contract on 30 days notice. So, but be that as it may, I've made it clear I'm willing to participate in any kind of discussion with anyone who needs that clarified beyond what the language of the RFP and the contract that was out there state. And I'm glad to do it. So we'll see where that goes. Did turn in those legislative request forms with those 2 items. The board of and the next, I think the first meeting of the, I don't have an honor, but the first meeting of the KEC legislative, it's not the council, but the board that reviews those proposals is coming out. Attendance can be by Zoom. I think it makes sense to do it that way, unless the board feels differently. But I talked with Jay Hall about that, our general counsel. And he indicated certainly people are welcome to show up, but he expects most people will attend by Zoom. So as we approach that date, if one of you would like to participate, just let me know. Number of entries for various projects for departments. I'm going into detail any of those unless there's one you have particular concerns about. Questions about. Be glad to try and answer any of those questions. Does the board have anything? That's all I've got. Thank you. I just left plenty of time.
I don't have anything.
Not you.
Yeah.
The other Joe.
Limit his time with the agenda.
Just meant Mr. Ellerman's time on the agenda. Deletion. Times. Mission changes. If it's there, there's that back in your office.
It's back in the office.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just send. One of them's this afternoon, then two others tomorrow.
Morning, Commissioners, John Elder, Public Works. I am here to present an application to request to what is it called, exchange federal funds. Getting close to the deadline of having to turn those in to get our federal funding. Of course, these are exchanging federal funds with state funds with KDOT at 90 cents on the dollar. Our allotment or allocated funds for federal funds of 240,065. The way exchange, we should receive 216,868. We've done this, I'm sure, before I got here in the last 3 years since I've been here. Usually I've used an asphalt project to the overlay project to reimburse. Since we haven't done that, I'll be turning in our list of gravel, road gravel that we have received. Stock and has stockpiled put on our notes. With the federal fund exchange, we're able to use these dollars for more maintenance type projects than what it used to be years ago, where you had to have a project to get these funds. So.
Are these, these aren't just limited to state roads, they can be used in the county.
These are county roads. Once we get it, we can use them now. Basically, a qualified project. But with the federal funds, they open those up to maintenance type projects. Graveling, chip sealing, overlays, culvert replacements projects that we have instead of a project that would require federal design standards and things like that. With the amount we're getting anymore and the desire of KDOT to use these annually, there's not a whole lot of projects we can do that with that kind of money. So it's good. It's a good exchange. It's good rate. It's a good deal. Many times federal projects cost that much more to do than our own county projects. So with this request, I asked that we deposit that money in the CIP for I guess we've been calling it CIP, Federal Fund Exchange, just for use in Ward County road projects later.
You can't use federal funds directly for that, for the maintenance.
No, but if we exchange it as state funds.
For federal funds, you'd have to have plans and
Yeah.
the whole.
This much of paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Needs to get signed 20 pages of stuff.
This is much
So
better.
what does the state then combine them for one federal project and the state somewhere?
Then the state uses these federal funds with others and yeah, they use them on projects they have.
On federal projects.
Right.
Which in the area, there's quite a few of them.
Too much for them to do things, but
Government,
bad rules, yeah.
government. Nonetheless, it does give us a little over $200,000 of leeway, so.
You asked that the next step in this would be to request to exchange the funds or the request for reimbursement. If you allow me to sign that form, will be with this and that. Basically, it tells what project we use and how much we spent on it. And we can-
Any other questions?
Can you go ahead and move to approve the chairman sign a request to exchange federal funds with the state of Kansas and to deposit the funds and CIP for use on future transportation related projects.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to bring the chair to sign the request to exchange federal funds with state of Kansas and put in the CIP for future use. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Right.
Morning, Commissioners. Evan McMillan. I am back today to follow up on the proposal for raising the rates out at the transfer station. Last time I was here, we discussed looking into possibilities to reduce the credit card fees to the customers. Our staff looked into that and we found that our current credit card company is pretty comparable to other credit card companies that is compatible with our weight tracking software. Some other options we have for reducing the fees are taking checks. This would consist of a check scanner that would cost about $300 a year. We could also start taking cash again. If we were to count that internally, it would cost the county about $15,000 a year. That would be counting the money, balancing it, and then delivery. There is also a security risk with that option as well. But then the next option we have is taking cash and purchasing a safe that basically counts the money for you. The customer would bring in a bill, put it into the safe, and it spits out change. And that money is directly wired to the account. So for that option, the safe costs $42,000 up front. And then yearly after that, it is $9,000 a year for maintenance of software. Then the last option is covering the credit card fees that we put to the residents. That would be about $10,000 to $13,000 per year. So no decision needs to be made, just something to keep in mind on those.
On the last one, on just covering the costs, what if we did kind of a sliding scale? And you know, if you're just a homeowner, you chop some branches down, you just have a truckload of stuff. I mean, that's one thing, but I mean, if you're kind of more commercialized and you're doing work by larger tonnage, you know, could we lower that rate to some, you know?
I would have to run that by Julie to see how that's applied.
Okay.
So you're saying larger companies would be assessed a higher fee, and then residents that bring in MSW would have a lower fee for the credit card.
Kind of the opposite.
Okay.
I mean, if you're just coming in once a month, bringing in some tree branches or trimming up your shrubs or whatever, you know, that's one thing.
So we don't charge any kind of residential brush or
Okay.
trees, but yeah, for any type of low volume trash.
It seems like the question that I get are ones that they come out several times a month and they have a truck full and a trailer full of stuff, and 3.5% on that kind of gets to be a large amount over the course of time.
Sure.
Somehow we need to be reflective of that, I guess.
You're looking at me, I guess my first thought is I'd be concerned if we're picked up in a trailer a couple times a month. That means we're getting into the commercial business guy.
Okay.
It's the resident that has a pickup, regular pickup load once in a while. I understand maybe, but if we're getting a frequent visitor, are we maybe not licensed commercial, but we're doing odd jobs for other people and charging them to take so.
I don't know officially on that, to be honest with you, but
But we could think that possibly we can make that work. I don't know how the software allows us to do that or not. I don't know if it's an all or none. Or yeah.
I mean, I do know for me, I do talk to a lot of people that still want the cash option. And I get everything behind that, but
Yeah, that's not a secure.
no, I know.
Stack.
And I have mentioned that. And, I've told them we can't necessarily guarantee your safety in a situation like that, but it's still a want, I guess. If we're gonna raise fees, and let's just face it, everything's just going up in price. That's just what it is. But I struggle with that.
We did like our new contract is kind of during where we can't do any of the, Kevin's gonna cover some of that anyway.
Yeah.
So some of the improvements we need to do is not gonna be covered or couldn't be done as responsive as they need to without the improvement.
42,000 seems like a lot for safe.
It is.
You
It's,
know,
it's
I
pretty
don't
high
know why
tech.
we have to have all the technology just for safe, but cash.
It's more about, so the machine would count it for you. That takes out the personnel that we would pay to count the money. It also includes a guarded truck to come out and unload and reload the safe as necessary.
Yeah.
So it takes all the security risk out.
Yeah, so they don't have
Yeah, I
a
had
cash,
it
they
a
don't
lot.
have a cash drawer going to it. This machine do it, right?
Yeah.
To me, that's still cheaper than the personnel option when you break it all down, but I think there's probably some maintenance costs here and there.
Yeah.
Is that incorporated into it?
Being as dusty as it is out
Yeah.
there, there's a decent amount of maintenance on that, so. Well, in addition to that, the new contract with the operator, Hams Incorporated, was signed last week. In this contract, it does mention that if the county was ever to change to a half day on Saturday, right now we run 7 to 5. If we were to go from 7 to 12, it would result in savings of 35 cents per ton for our rate that we're being charged. I've got some numbers on that if we ever decide to do that. So right now, on average, on Saturdays, we take in about 13 tons. 2/3 of that is between 7 and 12. And that's compared to 160, 180 tons per day during the week. So it's less than 10% of it.
Yeah, it's just the one, this residence hauling stuff out.
Yeah, the majority of it's residential.
But you're saying 35 cents a ton for a whole week or just for Saturday?
For the whole week. That contract price would be reduced by 35 cents.
It's be to the end of the term.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Term, whatever term of the agreement, it's a 3-year contract with 1 3-year renewal.
Yes.
If the parties want to, 6 months out from the end of that 3 year.
So that is an option, nothing we need to make a decision on, something to have in our back pocket. So overall, I guess staff recommends that we increase the rate to $64 a ton. That would be a $9 increase from where we're at right now. And that would cover Ham's increase.
When does it go into effect?
So their contract went into effect August 1st. So they're already charging the higher rate. I hope that this.
They're charging us already, so we need to.
Yes.
We approve this, we need to put it in right now. Okay.
So our rate would probably become effective October 1st.
Is that because you just try and get notice out there to people?
Yeah, give advance notice. Believe the majority of them have already been notified that there will be a rate increase, but we haven't given a definite per ton rate.
So does that, if we go to the closing meeting on Saturday, will that be credited back to us, or is that something we have to decide on?
I think whenever we start implementing that, they will change the rate on their bills. So they'll take 35 cents on what we receive on the invoices, whenever that starts.
And I think the company's incentive for that is that we're one of the few customers, I think, that is open on Saturday all day.
A lot of the other transfer stations are open from 7 to noon, 8 to 1, around that area, around that time.
The company actually raised that as a potential savings.
Or are they the ones in? Say, they run the transfer. I mean, I know they haul, the biggest thing is they haul off all the stuff.
So they also operate our crane. They load all the trash into the trailers. And then
They load up to it.
That's what I kind of lost sight of, is everybody in that building that you see working in there when you take stuff, they're all employees of the operator. None of them county employees,
Okay.
which I kind
They've
of
got
lost sight of.
somebody in there pushing stuff down in the hole or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
all.
county employees. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I guess I knew that at one time, but when we started negotiating that, I learned that a little bit more about how it operates. And so,
Well, if you need a part-time job in retirement, we know where we can go.
there are worse ones. There are worse jobs.
Yeah.
There are worse.
I've had a couple. And just as a comparison, Geary County right now is at $64 a ton. Dickinson County is 62 right now. They plan to raise at the beginning of next year, I believe, last time we talked.
I know they closed at noon on Saturdays.
I believe Geary County closes early. I'm not sure on Dickinson County.
And for us, it's still a pretty large increase all at once. And that doesn't take into account the 3.5%. If we just go to card only too.
So with the upcoming projects that we have, it is a pretty large increase. I'd like to note that we're increasing commercial brush as well. Commercial brush, compost, we're going to raise a little bit. All of these kind of highlight the rate increase for this year. The price of tires have gone up, so we'll be increasing those as well. But with this big jump, we do have a lot of heavy expenditures out there that we'll need to account for. So that includes a new tipping floor, possibly maintenance and replacement of machinery, new scales on the outgoing scales. That tipping floor is the big one. It would probably be a few $100,000 possibly.
What on the different rates, when you've got white goods, is that appliance?
Yeah, that's appliances.
But they're not white anymore.
Yeah, they're silver.
I wondered if that was. And that's what I was wondering, could you list the tipping floor and the scale? That's 300,000, but you're showing from 400,000. Money's running out in 2 years, you know, on all these.
Right. So
Forward.
with this contract, they're invoking a CPI increase each year. So it's all based on estimations that I did, assumptions basically. So you really don't know where you're going to be at until you get to that year. But this was using a 3% CPI increase each year and then 4.5%. So I did some different comparisons on those. But with the expenditures that we have coming up, I wouldn't be surprised if we may use a rate increase the next few years.
Yeah, because we're gonna use up. The capital that you got now, you kind of got lined, we have stuff lined up leaving that right.
Correct. So Ham's rate in, I believe, 2020 was $44.94. And they're raising about between $8 and $10 per ton. So that's pretty in line with what we're asking.
Where do they call? Where does our stuff go?
Harry,
It's to a landfill that they own, right?
yes.
The operator actually owns it.
Right, I know, yeah, I mean, like I said, they got paid, pull the rock out and then pay to put it back that. They're not there, I mean, there's several.
Yeah.
Members have that set up.
Sure. That goes on.
Yeah,
Pull the rock
where it
out.
goes from here, oh well.
So these drafts do use, I'd say, conservative values, so I wouldn't expect it to go just like this, but. Something we'll have to increase the rate and see how it goes over the next few years. Mhm.
Everything's increasing, it sounds like we need to do that. Unfortunately.
We need to have some options. Good payment is being made to keep it fair. We have to get a machine, then maybe we need to think about getting a machine. 3.5 on top of all that, that's quite a bit. I mean, if you're doing.
So I believe the residents paid overall, I guess customers paid about $12,000 to $13,000 in 2022. Then the county covered about 11.5. Just to give you some numbers.
Right now, though, we still, right now, you don't take credit,
Yes,
right, and but you add 3.5.
3.5% credit card fee. And then we cover everything in excess of that.
Yeah. Well, I think. Because the residents aren't bringing in $300 worth of stuff, you know, the pickup load doesn't even, mine is less than a ton, but I
Typically,
have
they'll
a
hit the minimum.
pickup load.
Mhm.
So the 3.5% isn't that many dollars, and it's what it costs us. So, like I said, do the cash, like, you know, pay next security, yeah, that's not a secure place at all out there.
Right.
I get that.
And you've got people driving to the bank and dropping the money off as well. So
Yeah,
I did kind of like the cost, I guess, of the checks, but it's kind of seldom that people carry around checks nowadays.
Yeah.
It's less and less, but it is one of the definitely the cheaper options.
What digital options outside of credit card can we think about? I mean, can you do a direct deposit type of thing where I know it's still probably going to take a machine or something, but
Yeah,
I know we're going to have better internet capabilities out in that location here in the next couple of years. I mean, it's something we got to think about.
yeah, I can look into that.
Okay.
I know they offer, I mean, they've got Venmo and stuff like that, but I think those charge credit card fee as well.
I don't think they've got a barcode system that you can use, or even Square.
Yeah,
I mean,
I believe so.
Yes.
yeah,
It does.
even if you do it by direct deposit, it comes directly out. They've got to. I don't know how the software works. I just know it exists.
Like
So,
debit cards, yeah. I'm sorry.
but that would still come with 3.5 if you had it set up to where, you know, you type in a bank account or something and there's a barcode or a QAR code or something that scans, and it basically is your account number, and it picks all that information up and it just takes it directly out of your account. Now, I know banks are starting to charge fees for that because that's the direction that most people go. So probably won't win that battle anyway, but we need to look at some better options. That's my point.
Yeah, I can see if there's any option for some type of direct deposit
Okay.
outside of that. I'll keep looking, I guess.
Okay.
And when are you looking to stop taking cash?
So we don't take cash.
You don't take cash
I
now.
don't think did we open it back up after COVID?
No,
No, that's what I thought.
it's been since 2020. that we have to-
I think as soon as we put COVID restrictions in, that was the first thing that went. We went to card only. So today you just needed a decision on the actual rate increase. Is that right? I think.
Yes.
Okay.
Now I'll come back with the resolution for the rate increase.
Okay. Anything else? No. Okay. I'll go ahead and then make a motion to approve the transfer rate, station rate be increased to $64 per ton.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to increase the transfer station rate to $64 per ton. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Cindy, could you call IT and tell them there's an executive session?
He's right behind you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good thing you watched them.
No, I told that.
I forgot to tell you.
I mentioned.
You might be your
Give us stuff. You here.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess they don't have anything else, right? Now we go ahead and move the county commission, including Chairwoman Foki, Vice Chairman Ford, and Commissioner McKinley recess into executive session on a performance matter of non-elected personnel to protect the privacy of the employee and exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act with Clancy Holman, Riley County Counselor, attorney for the commission, and Elizabeth Ward, Human Resource Director. Said 20 minutes, right?
I think 20.
Okay, the open meeting to resume in the county commission chamber at 10:30 a.m.
Second.
So moved and seconded to recess into executive session until 10:30 a.m. All in favor?
Thank you, Commissioner.
the long run, that'll help.
Okay.
Okay. Are we good? Okay, I'll go ahead and move that the Board of County Commissioners come out of executive session.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to that the board come out of executive session. All in favor? Aye.
I'll also move that the record reflect action shall be taken consistent with the consensus reached in executive session.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded that the record reflect that consensus was reached during the executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, commissioners.
That's all I have, Commissioner, but somebody wandered in off the street. I don't know if he's not something in particular or not.
I don't know. Do you have something particular that's very quick?
Well, Greg. Greg, we're gonna have another meeting up north. I don't know if you saw the notice. Gonna be at University Park
Oh, okay. No, I haven't seen that.
and on the 2nd. 10 o'clock. I'm bringing the coffee and donuts. That ought to be incentive enough. And we'll be well completed with the meeting before the game. So.
Oh, that's right. It's game day.
So, because the game was at 6 o'clock, okay,
Oh,
and evening game, and
I was hoping we'd done this.
yeah, so
I'm kidding.
it is going to be much better than trying to get the next few weeks after that. They're 10 or 11 o'clock or something, and it makes it difficult to do anything. So anyway, that's all I had. If you don't mind being there and stuff like that.
When is what is it? University Park? Where is it? What is it?
Well, it'll be at the pavilion there, University Park. They got a spot about this big. Outdoor thing, and we have some political meetings in GOP. Since nobody from the north hardly comes to the ones in Manhattan, I decided to do something up north. This will be the fourth one that I'm having. It's open to anybody.
No, it's just a discussion of what's going on.
Yeah. So that's, because they'll probably want to ask some questions. How much longer is the ambulance going to be to fully completed in the building and all the other little things that happen? I'll probably have State Rep Mike Dotson there. So
That's not his district, but
We do have.
couldn't get a hold of Bloom, but Mike has a more descriptive thing, a way of putting it of what's going on.
okay.
Okay.
We do have a meeting in Randolph. Of the commission meeting is in Randolph on the 31st.
First, yeah, I know you guys have been doing that, which is good. I hope you're having good turnout.
Yeah, we have.
Pretty good. Better than in here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think it's satisfying a lot of the guys up north, because that was one of the biggest complaints when I was in commission. And so you guys did a little better job than we did, so, it's good.
Hopefully it'll continue. So. Okay. Anything else?
I have a couple of things, which I think we already did intergovernmental for everybody. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking we already did that one. I think I already made
Yeah, I
reservations.
don't eat there.
Okay, Good Morning Manhattan is September 23.
Comes up pretty regularly.
Can we just have one?
Yeah, we did. Just last week. 28.
Yeah,
Do they have the topic? Yeah.
and it's 383 Superintendent Barry Breed.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and send.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will be. Have you heard anything on the North Central County officials meeting?
I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, we have one.
Are they yearly now instead of,
Are they every other year?
see, I'm not sure. They, I think used to be yearly and they were gonna maybe change it, so I don't really know what.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't remember. I was in Marysville, right?
Yeah, no, we didn't have it for 2 years,
Yeah.
COVID and everything else, but I think it's Nemaha County. I think.
I'm not seeing anything yet.
Okay, I was just curious. And I got one other item I need to discuss with you in terms of fall events here. Let me do that for those.
Okay, anything else? Okay. A motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and make a motion to adjourn the August 21st meeting of the Riley County Commission.
Second.
So moved and seconded to adjourn the August 21st meeting of the Riley County